I got more brain rot than I could manage. So I am now on episode, 90 of my rewatch, and I have more thoughts on what could happen in the future. I said I was gonna make another video when I got up to Jay's deal, and here we are. So no need to delay this anymore. But first, this will have spoilers from Just Roll With It episodes. All of the episodes. You are not safe. Number 1, Jay's deal. I think Jay's deal is going to be enacted soon. And I mean soon. But first, what is it anyways? At the end of episode 81, All Falls Apart, after they finally get out of the Feywilds, Jay is greeted by the one and only Niklaus with, of course, a deal. The deal is as follows. She would get the mode and method of how to get Gillian back from the dungeon card. Oh fuck, I forgot I was going to do prop comedy. The deal is as follows. She would get the mode and method of how to get Gillian back from the dungeon card in exchange for Jay to receive a command, anything to anyone, on the stipulation that it would not be towards Chip or Gillian. Currently, as of episode 115, Jay is now back at 0 through teleportation, and is going to be helping Lizzie with the war effort at the Solstice Stronghold. At first, I thought, the command's going to be against Lizzie. It's going to be against Lizzie. It's going to be either killing her or sabotage. It would make Jay look really, really bad, like a triple agent for the Navy. Ooh, the drama. That's a shit Niklaus would love. But then I got the most harrowing thought. If they're fighting the Navy, what if the command is against her dad? My brain works in a very peculiar way. Call it poetic poisoning. But what if Jay's deal and Gillian's deal are enacted upon at the same time? In the last video, I said that I think Gillian's favor will be killing Arland, or Chip's fatherly figure in front of him and Chip not being able to do anything due to his side of the bargain. I think that, or something very similar, will still happen. All I'm saying is that it would be a really, really cool parallel if Gillian and Jay killed the two strongest paternal figures at the same time. It would suck, but it's a story. And Chip is our tragic hero. Little side note, I can go on for days about Greek literature in conjunction to this series, but I'm not going to. I will say this thing, though. Gillian. More like a Killian. Number 2. Update. All things Black Sea. So more information came out of episode 82, Moonlight, Storm, and Sea. When after the deal is made, Jay talks to Dre about what to do in this very unpredictable situation she and her friends have found themselves into. And we learn a few more things. 1. There are 4 pirate lords, Captain Rose of the Black Rose, Captain Shadowbeard, Captain Hendrix, and the Dread Queen. Before the events of the one-shot, the 4 had a meeting about Captain Rose's retirement, and there was a big fight. But it ended with all of them returning to their ships. Captain Rose, specifically, came back with a quest and a map that only he could read. The one-shot starts on the way back from the quest given to him by none other than Captain Hendrix. It may be hanging on semantic threads, but I still think the it's all illusions theory could work. It still could work. It still has merit. Also in this episode, Dre stated that Finn Tidestrider had once said, Captain Hendrix's arcane abilities are immense. I may not trust a single word that man says anymore, as it may have triple, even fucking quadruple meanings, but it does mean something in this case. It's a stretch, but it could work. It's like pulling a needle from a haystack. Actually, it's more like pulling a piece of hay through a needle stack, as the amount of pulling I'm doing. And finally, 3. The extra bits, just extra little bits that I thought of. I said this in a comment on the last video, but I might as well state it here as well. I think the helmet from episode 114, the one that Gil puts on haphazardly and it makes him suppress his stronger emotions and become a more obedient soldier, while most people think at that point Doppelgilly was created, I don't think so. As we all know, I'm riding that train of Doppelgilly was there from the beginning. Also, I think I could pinpoint when that idea was created, but I'll talk about that later. The helmet is what the naval promotion is. We know at some point Jay's dad, Jason, became more cold and distant towards his family around the time he got promoted to Vice Admiral. I think this helmet caused that. The helmet made him suppress his strongest emotions, his family, and made him a more obedient soldier. I'm right. But it's not promotion. I think it's, again, listen to episode 87. I recorded this after the edit you're going to see later. I'm adding this post because I got up to episode 87. In episode 87, whatever the title of the video is called, I'm not looking it up. They get to a C-Mart. Jay goes to the post office to send a letter to her mom. And in return, she gets a letter addressed to her, just by happenstance. And it's signed Official Navy. And it turns out it's from her grandma, Faye Farron. We'll talk about that little tidbit later. It's a funny little letter with a conch shell that will disintegrate once used. Later on, towards the end of the episode, they use it with the newfound determination from Gillian. In that, you hear, and I quoted it, she said, and I quote, "He got emotional, but I've calmed him down." She used the fucking helmet on him. I'm correct. No. This ain't a theory anymore. This is just flat fact. This also means that's what's in store for Kira, as she is in line for promotion soon. Little words get stuck in me mind. Little words, connections. Another thing, I want to retract my really funny, very funny joke. I don't know why I thought Faye Farron was Jay's grandma, but she is in fact her aunt. This was said when Chip won the maze in the Feywilds and saw Eden. I'm actually going to scream. Faye Farron is grandma. I was up to episode 87, the beginning of 87, and I listened to the whole episode of 87, and guess what? They say Faye Farron is the grandma. Kill me with a redcon, why don't you? I'm mad. Also, I still want to know who the fuck Taylor Farron is. That's the only other family member we have not seen or heard anything about, except for the very first mention in the first Allport arc. Also, I'm just going to put this out there. Do you think the stick they randomly got from Captain Tastrius' treasure is actually a wand of wonder? Because if it is, I am so glad that they don't have it anymore. If you watched Faded, then you know why. You know why those fuckheads can't be trusted. And now, to bring this sucker to a close, I'm pulling inspiration from my forefathers. A timeline. A timeline on why Doppelgilly is a thing. And it goes all the way back to when Gillian was exiled. While in the dungeon, Gillian goes through 3 trials to test if he's really the prophetic hero he claims to be. The first 2 don't matter. But the third one is basically a flashback to a meeting where shit really hits the fan. It was a meeting between a man, the myth, the biggest pillar is Jay's dad, talking to the elders about combining forces against their biggest threat. That threat is actually not mentioned, but by context clues, it could mean the pirates. The original memory, we see a younger Tide Strider listening in on this meeting that he was not initially invited to, sensing, or sniffing, out a strong evil force and charging into action, rushing into the room and stabbing the strongest smell, which happened to be, as we all should know, Jay's dad. Ending with Gillian being taken out of the room and ultimately exiled from the Undersea, his home. I think this is where the idea was pitched. Time-wise, this meeting happened when Chip and Jay first met on Featherbrook, during the LOOP flashback episode Humble Beginnings. The Navy had the technology and was experimenting on the dead Leviathan in the Eastern Sea. I think that was the final nail in the coffin that led to the Navy and undersea ending all and any conflicts. The only problem I see in the future is that Doppelgilly was a toy for the Navy, as we've seen. Not really for the undersea. It could have been like just a figurehead thing to make like the people of the undersea being like, yes, he is still here. He is still fine. Haha. Who knows how the news works down there. To create a succinct timeline of events, here's what happened. Jason Farron has a meeting with the elders of the undersea. Gillian smells an evil odor and acts upon vanquishing it as per his training. This hastily made decision causes Gillian to be banished and at the same time cause the elders of the undersea to make, essentially, a poor deal with the Navy to create a clone of their chosen one. Then the events of Riptide begin. I might make a third one of these videos if anything else comes up or I have to make another edit and fix one of the dumbass things I said, which is 100% bound to happen. So what are you doing still here? Go watch Riptide. Subscribe to Just Roll With It. Pay them money. So get out of here. Skedaddle. I just gotta talk about this. I got the Deck of Many Things special edition. They're cool.